It's like weird now that we're actually like
we're here.
have the intention of doing this. Hello. I just realized how much we're about to fuck up.
Me when I do anything.
It's so weird with the camera in front of your face.
Yeah, I didn't think this through.
Todd, dear, is it just me?
I think it's also the light.
I think it's my anxiety.
So we start now? Hi, I'm Carla, but Liz calls me Carl.
And I'm Alyssa, but Carl calls me Liz.
And we're Liz and Carl.
Mm-hmm. And you're listening or viewing, whatever platform you are on, to the gangs all here.
Thanks for being here, first of all.
Absolutely. If you're listening to this, it's our first one, so as everyone always says, this is going to be a rough one, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll make it.
Transition to our jingle. So I guess cue that now. We're back.
All right, so the gang's all here. You want to talk a little bit about what that means or where we got that?
The name? Okay, so obviously for true fans, Carla came up with it, but I was like, yes. So it's actually a reference to SpongeBob, but it just made sense for us because of our friends, the conversations that we have with our friends and whatnot, and the meaningful lessons that we learn from mistakes that our friends have made or that they learn from mistakes that we have made, and just the valuable knowledge that we all have to share with each other about growing up. Granted, we still have a lot of that to do. It just made sense for our name. The gang's all here. Doesn't matter who's here, but we're all here.
We're all here, whether it's just you and one other person. Yeah.
Or if there's more people.
Yeah, whoever that is, you and your cat, your dog, the gang is all here, always. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we basically started this podcast because we know that life can be very difficult as a young adult. And so we just wanted to share our thoughts, our experiences, our unqualified advice, because we are no professionals, so we don't know what we're doing either, but we kind of wanted to bring you along the way. And if you're someone like us where you have found yourself asking a lot of questions and saying I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, it's okay, because we don't either. We don't know what we're doing. And if you're feeling that way, we want to just let you know that you're not alone, and you have us, you have the gang, and we're here for you, and you're in the right place.
Feel free to email us, DM us.
Yeah. We're here for you.
You can't call us.
Yeah.
Based on what Carla was saying, yes, I agree. And I think that this is also to help kind of change our thinking habits, get to the root of problems, and to figure out this life that we're trying to navigate. And I would say that we're doing this because we have had these conversations with our friends and have been meaningful to us, and we think that they can impact other people, and talking about these different aspects of life have helped us get through problems or realize something that we didn't even know, and it's helped us educate ourselves honestly about ourselves and progress in life and move forward, and also to keep an open mind. Why are you wanting to do this?
Just from my own experience, I think that, yeah, kind of the same thing. I think you you explained it perfectly. Just we want to just create a community where we can just be honest and not be ashamed of the questions that we may have and the struggles that we're going through, because I think that something that both of us went through, but I know I've had my moments where I've had to be oh, I'm not going to talk about that because I'm the only person going through this, and that's not true. A lot of people are going through the same thing that I'm going through, and I just didn't know that because I didn't talk about it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure this will be another episode, but I think a lot of the reason why a lot of people, at least why I didn't at first, whenever I didn't know how to express these kinds of things, was pride holding me back, being oh, I'm not going to tell them because this or that, and da-da-da.
Yeah, and you just keep lying to yourself. Everything's fine, I'm doing the right thing. And it's no, it's okay to not be fine.
Yeah, and once you do start telling people, it's such a weight lifted. And I would say that's why we're doing it, both of us too. Whenever we had this idea, we're kind of in a rut, I would say. We're just kind of ugh, what are we doing? And like, do we want to be what do we want to be? Do we want to be doing what we're doing? And this sounds very like sad, not sad, but just very like,
what is
the word?
life?
Serious, serious, yeah. And we're hoping to make these topics like lighthearted and stuff like that. But basically, yeah, just like every other 20-year-old, we're just trying to navigate through our lives and kind of find our purpose. And honestly, it's been nice talking about it. And we're like, wow, that should be our first episode about like,
how do we do this? What are we doing?
Life.
Life, yeah.
And that's such a broad topic, but it's also something that we can develop on like later on in the future.
It's a good way to start, because I think, at least for me, that was the first big like adult question that I had to ask myself. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that's probably what other people ask themselves too at our age.
Finding your purpose, obviously neither of us have, but maybe this will bring us one step closer.
Yeah.
But, yeah, personally, I mean, there's so many, whenever you think about that, I think about so many different ways. I'm like, is it necessary to have a purpose? Is like the purpose in life to just live it? Or should we be driven by a passion and make decisions based on what our passions are? And then it brings me to my passions, and I'm like, I can't say that I'm really passionate about one thing to drive my life in terms of like, obviously my friends and my loved ones and all that I'm passionate about, but like a hobby or like a certain thing that I'm like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I haven't come across that.
Yeah, no, it's hard because it's such a big question and there is no right or wrong answer. But in my experience, I think the first time that I asked myself that was, I think, when I was in college. And I was doing everything that I thought I was supposed to do. You know, I was going to college, I live in a nice city, I have a solid group of friends, and I realized that I still wasn't happy. And I felt very guilty about that because I thought I'm doing everything that is expected of me and I'm still not fulfilled. And I think that was when this little like light bulb went on and I was like, oh, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So what am I supposed to do? Yeah. And you start to kind of get overwhelmed with all these questions. Like you said, you know, like, what am I doing? I have all these things that I'm interested in, but none of them that I don't know if I should, you know, do for the rest of my life, because it's such a big decision. Like, do I want to do the same thing for the rest of my life, like over and over again?
That's a good point too, is like, if you do find that thing, it's like, am I going to get bored of this?
Yeah, like am I going to get bored?
Obviously, both of us went to college for pretty much, we went to college for the same thing.
Yeah.
And, like, neither of us are passionate about that specific thing anymore, which, I mean, we went to college in the fashion industry and we did product development, which is more like manufacturing based, but even still, both of us are just like, wow, like, sucks to have paid money for that. But I mean, both of us in our heads just kind of like, we need the paper, we need the degree.
Yeah. And that's something that I think is keeping a lot of people from finding what they really want to do is money, because people want stability. They want that like balance in their life, and they think, oh, I'm gonna do this career because it pays a lot and I'll be able to have my house and I'll be able to travel and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, that's not gonna make you happy over time. You
Exactly.
know?
Another thing that like I think is like, what is important to someone? Is it happiness or success? I had this conversation with my dad because I was feeling really conflicted about what I was doing with my life at the time. And I had asked him like what he considers to be more important, success or happiness, because I was at a spot at that time where I was like, oh, do I want to quit this job that I'm at and like try to find a passion, or do I stick with this because it's paying my bills and this and that, or paying most of my bills? And his opinion is success and money. He's like, that's what's smartest. He's like, you build your income, you build your savings, this and that. And he's like, and then you get to take vacations. And he's like, vacations is whenever you get to be happy. And I'm like, really?
You gotta wait
Only vacations?
You gotta wait till you're 40 to be happy.
Exactly. And I'm like, that's not good enough for me.
It's like, oh, so I have to suffer and
Exactly.
be miserable and chug along for, I don't know, 20 years before I get to be like, oh, I can be happy now. And that's a great question, too, is like, what is your definition of success and happiness? Are they the same thing, first of all?
And does success correlate to your purpose?
Exactly.
For me, I think success does. Like, have I lived... But then in terms of success, for me, it's like, have I lived this life that I'm living?
Damn. Wow. Yeah, no, we have to ask ourselves these things, especially now that we're young. It's better to ask these questions now than later. But yeah, that's a great conversation to have with your parents.
But
yeah.
I think it's also a generational thing because a lot of people in his generations and older generations, like, we did what we have to do and we're kind of in a lucky position. I wouldn't say at the moment, but like we've been in a lucky position to have so much, like, creative jobs are paying so well, whereas back then it was kind of like more of a joke. And like whenever you tell your parents you're going to art school back then, it's like, okay, so what are you really going to do with your life? And like now we're like, oh yeah, we went to fashion school and my parents were fully supportive of that, which granted some parents still wouldn't be. I was lucky to have fully supportive parents. But like they supported me mentally. and that's honestly a big help too, or like a big help just in general. But our generation, like, we do value, I mean, a lot of us value happiness more.
I think that the generation that our parents were brought up in, it was very much about surviving. It was like they were on survival mode, because I know even my parents
I agree with that.
Tell me the same thing. We're like, oh, well, you need to find a job that makes you a lot of money and you need to save and you have to have a 401k and then later on you can enjoy life.
Yeah.
Kind of like what
vacations.
Yeah, what your parents said. And in my head, I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't care. In my opinion, like, my idea of success right now is not revolving around money. It's about me living my life. Like, I want to travel and I want to just be happy and learn and just literally be a student of life. And I don't want to worry about, it's like my parents keep telling me like, oh, well, why don't you do like a 6-month course on how to be like a masseuse or become a nurse or something.
They just want to know that you have that something tangible that you can like rely on, which I fully get from their generation, but it's just kind of like,
I definitely see where they're coming from, but yeah, like in their head, it's all about survival and making ends meet and having money in the bank. And definitely our generation wants to be more like free and find our purpose.
But is that even possible?
Can we do that?
Yeah, like, and does it change? Because for me, I would say
like,
what my idea of my purpose has changed already like 3 times in the past 5 years. Probably like 7 times in my life of what I thought I would be doing. Like, as a child, I wanted to be a ballerina, like many children. That was like my dream thing. And my grandma's like, oh, you love arguing, you're gonna be a lawyer. And I'm like, I don't want to be a lawyer because that's like, I probably would have been a great lawyer, but there's no way in heck. I was passionate about it, but I could have probably made bank.
I also wanted to be a ballerina.
That's funny.
I remember I actually asked my mom for like dance lessons and she was like, we can't afford it.
I don't wish that happened though, because I'm not really passionate about being a ballerina.
Yeah, no, and I feel like that's something you definitely have to start at a young age.
Absolutely, and maybe it could have been my purpose, but no, I'm actually really glad
it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, I'm glad that it hasn't.
But yeah, it is interesting to think through or think back, like, all the things that we wanted to do. Like, I, at one point, wanted to be an architect because I love to draw, and I always dreamt of having, like, this really big house. But then I realized that it involves a lot of math, and I'm really bad at math, so I was like, oh, that's not going to work.
There's no way. I'm not going to get good at math for this. Yeah, I'm trying to think of it, like, my next one. I think that after that, I never really had a solid passion. Like, as a child, that was like, my dream. This is gonna be how my life is gonna be, and no one's gonna tell me different. Like, anyone who'd be like, oh, you'd be such a good this. I'm like, well, I'm gonna be a ballerina, so.
Yeah.
Like,
what were your, like, plans, or what was your vision, like, out of high school? Like, once you were out in the real world, like, this is what my next, like, 5 years are gonna be like.
the only thing that I was 100% solid on is, like, I'm going to live in Southern California. And I'm going to stay there as long as I can. Like, that was literally, so that was my purpose.
Living in California.
And I enjoyed fashion. I did costuming in high school and stuff like that, and same with you.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is really fun. I enjoy doing this costuming thing. I'm gonna go to a fashion school, but I did product development, which was like half fashion and half business. And I mean, the job that I have and that I'm grateful for, I do some of that, and I'm lucky that I'm one of the very few people that can say that they actually get to use their degree towards their job, because I haven't heard of anyone who had, like, in terms of our friend group and whatnot. I can't say that I had a real big passion for product development.
Yeah.
But I am passionate still about owning my own business someday, and I think that is a possibility, and I always said that I would. I think since high school I was like, oh, I'm gonna own my own business, and now I don't know if it's gonna be a clothing business, just because of all the issues with sustainability, and like I'm like I don't want to make it worse.
Yeah.
But I have like other ideas for a fully sustainable business that I'm become passionate about as I've thought of, and I'm like, that'd be really cool. But I think owning a business is probably like a long-term goal still, but
and that's like the experience.
That's stayed inside of me for a long time, probably like since high school. That's interesting. See, I'm just discovering this now. And, but what I want to do now has changed so much, and I'm like, ugh. That's why I feel kind of guilty about like changing my passion so much. Is I'm like, oh, I'm so privileged that I get to be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, like, that's another thing too, is privilege.
My parents didn't get that.
Exactly, because again, they were on survival mode. Like, they didn't have the choice. They had to focus on like feeding their children and
but again,
paying rent.
Also opportunity.
Yeah.
We have so much more opportunity where we live, and
so many
people
new
we
jobs,
surround
like,
ourselves, new jobs. Granted, obviously, during a pandemic, no one's getting a job, let alone a creative job. But like a lot more freelancers are getting hired, and just like so many different
things are also
jobs
changing.
that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
That I find out about, and I'm just like, wow, that's a really interesting job, and I'm like, wow, I could do that. But nothing has really like stuck since high school for like what steps I want to be taking towards something, which I guess I kind of did. I got a business degree after product development, and I still want to do that. So I'm glad then. I'm glad about that. But like purpose, that's still not something that I know that I'm going to be like, I'm going to work on my business all day, every day. At some point it will be, because it'll have to
but
be.
Not
you
now.
can't just like walk away and then come back when you want, whenever you're running a business.
Yeah.
And so I know that I have to be like gung-ho about it, and I'm still not ready to do that. Nor do I have the funds.
Yeah. I think for me, after high school, the same thing as you. My one and only goal was to, again, live in Southern California, because that was the only thing as like a teenager that I knew that had to be done. I don't know, I just kind of got called to it. And
you're like, I gotta get out of this desert.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's like, I don't want to be in a small town. I don't want to grow up in a town where I'm surrounded by the same people that I went to, middle school with. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It just wasn't for me.
It's just, there is. I'm just kidding.
It wasn't for me. And I was just like, I don't want to do this. There's so much to explore. And I wanted to live in a city where everyone was also going after a goal. And
that's a really good point, because everyone I've met out here, even as
is working
shallow
towards
as
something.
can be, is like, has a goal.
Exactly. And I'm living in a city now with like-minded people, and it's so refreshing to know that I'm not the only one. Because if you're from a small town and you have big dreams and big goals and big aspirations, a lot of people will try to bring you down from that, and they'll tell you like, oh, you're crazy, you won't make it, like that's not realistic, you should do something else, and do something more safe, like a safe choice. But I just knew it in me that wasn't an answer. Like, I wasn't going to take no for an answer. And when people told me not to do it, that made me want to do it more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so here I am. And in my case, like, I didn't graduate, and like I dropped out of college because I knew very early on that was not for me. Like I said before, I was feeling very guilty. I wasn't happy, and so I completely dropped out because I wanted to take some time to really figure out again, what am I doing?
And that's good, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm so happy. It is the greatest decision that I've ever met. So if there's anyone out there listening and you're feeling guilty or scared to make that decision, don't, because it's a huge weight off my shoulders. And now I don't have as big of a debt that other people might have if they had finished their degree. And honestly, like you said before too, like we talked about, there's so many people that have degrees in one thing, but their career is something completely different. So it's like that whole degree went to waste.
It was for a paper, because a lot of companies just want to be like, wow, you have
a degree.
You have skills.
Exactly. Like, oh, you paid a lot of money. That's all that really means.
You did this work. The hardest decisions in life are literally the scariest, and this isn't knowledge that you guys don't know. Like, everyone knows that the hardest decisions and the scariest are the scariest. Well, no shit. But I mean that, like, those decisions are also the decisions that help you progress farther in life. Like, every time I've made a scary decision, I have felt like a burden lifted off my shoulders and been like, wow, I feel like rewarded, and that I'm a step further, and now I could do this.
It's worth it.
Exactly. Like, it just shows your strength as an adult. And it's just like a step you need to take as an adult. And that was what that was for me. I was like, wow, I'm a little bit more adulty. And, yeah. Those decisions are just hard. And moving out here right after high school.
That was a big decision.
Yeah.
There was a lot at risk, yeah. But you have to take those big leaps to progress as a person, too. Like, to be happy.
And sometimes it might slap you in the face. But the good thing about failing, as I'm sure we both know from failing at different kinds of things, you know, you learn a lot from failing. And then you can progress from that.
And something that I have learned too is that failing is not entirely a bad thing. Because for me, like, dropping out of college, that in my head at the time when I was like 19, I was like, this is the biggest failure. I've hit rock bottom. Oh my God. I'm a loser. Like, everyone's gonna hate me. I'm like the disappointment of everyone and everything. And I was being
banished from my family.
Yeah, and I felt so, like, disappointed in myself. But then I realized that I shouldn't be disappointed at all, because I was doing it for myself, because I wasn't happy. And ever since then, I've been way happier. And that's why I needed to do that, because I'm like, I need to do this for me, not for my parents, not for my family. And even though it was really hard, because I knew that it would be disappointing them a little bit, but I know that over time and in the end, they're going to know why I did what I did. Like, they're going to look back at me dropping out of college and be like, oh, okay, she had to do that to end wherever I end up, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably look back at this and be like, yeah, see? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, like, bringing it back to purpose. I think there's so many different ways that we can find our purpose. Is it just freaking God-given and we're just, like, in this, like, simulation type, like, you're gonna do this and this is gonna happen by the end of your life? Or is it, like, our decision? Are we making this decision on what makes us happy? Are we making this decision on what we think will make us happy and get us money? And sometimes that does make people happy, you know? And, well, it really does make some people happy.
Something that I've been looking into to kind of help me process all of these things is this Japanese method that I found, which is called Ikigai. And some of you have probably heard it. There's like books and articles about it. But it's basically kind of like the key to a long and happy, meaningful life. And it's basically you create this chart and you answer these questions. And there's these 4 main questions. The first one being, what is something you love? And so you go ahead and make a list of everything that you love, whatever that is.
People, places,
your
things,
animals,
actions.
like drawing, whatever. And then the second question is, what is something that you're good at? So, because those could be 2 different things. So maybe you're good at problem solving. Maybe you're good at math. Okay. Maybe you're good at, like, being a mediator. Whatever that is.
Go on, sorry.
The third question is, what is something you can be paid for? So then that could be, like, maybe I'm really good at baking and I can, like, sell, like, cupcakes at like the flea market or something. Or I'm really good like drawer, graphic designer, or freelance like copywriting, whatever it is, like editing, writing, whatever it is that you can be paid for, and then you write that down. And then the last question is, what is something the world needs? And then you go ahead and answer all 4 of those questions, and then that should kind of give you an overall guide as to what are the different things that you need to try out to have like a fulfilling life.
Yeah. I think fulfilling, I would say that's a really good thing for fulfilling. I would say that's honestly a really good place for people that are lost to start. Yeah.
Because that's what I've been doing.
And I think that's valid. And personally, because it's so hard whenever you're talking about what you're good at. For me, it's so hard to identify what you're good at, because immediately whenever you said what you're good at, I think of like hobbies. Like I see all these roller skating bad bitches and I'm like, I want to be one of them. I want to be good at that and this and that. Not that the world needs that, but
yeah.
But just whenever you said that, I was just like, what am I good at? That's been a question forever. And I mean, other people can probably identify that easier than me, but I'm just like, I'm a little bit good at like a lot of things. But I'm not really good at anything, and so I'm like that would be kind of hard to be like, okay, well I am good at math and like I am really good at math, but there's no way in hell
you don't love math.
Exactly. And maybe the world could use a little math help.
That's when you connect those 2 things, like where is the correlation between what you love and what you're good at, and then you find that, and then like can I be paid for that thing?
And I think that because I think that you definitely have a more creative mind than me, but that's why I was saying I was about to be like, my analytical brain is like thinking this, but then you said, your first thing that you said was problem solving and more like intangible things, you know, because I'm thinking about physical things, that what can I represent that I'm good at, you know?
Like you could be like a good listener.
Exactly. You could even be a freaking good thinker.
Yeah.
I
think all the time. I'm an overthinker.
Y'all, well, I mean, I'm not talking about you, but I be having some dumb thoughts. And I'm just like, wow, this is so profound. But no, I'm only 22. It's not. But yeah, that's a hard thing. I kind of want to like do that practice for myself and try to think outside of the box. And that's something I've been working on for myself, because I think that'll make me a better thinker. But I think that's good practice and it's something easy that our beautiful audience can just like do, make a little
like
quad
if that
chart.
Works for you, like you need to visually see to work on something. Because if you're on the same boat as us where you just don't know, like, again, what the fuck you're doing, just do that. Do the chart, or don't do the chart. You don't have to. But just try a lot of things. Try different things that you think you're kind of good at, and then something along the way will stick eventually, but try. Don't just settle. You gotta keep trying, keep learning.
I think I speak for both of us whenever you say and I say, like, you don't know what the fuck we're doing. I think we kind of mean that, like, we're worried right now that we're not taking the right steps to live our happiest life. So it's funny because both of us, I would say, are pretty happy right now, you know? We have our down days and our up days, but we are pretty happy. So it's like, what do we need to do right now, you know? But we're trying to take those steps, and we're worrying about our future and worrying about what we could do to live a fulfilling life. And so that's where we're saying, like, we don't know what the fuck to do. We don't know how to plan for our future, you know? And that's why I know a lot of our generation complains, like, we never had, like, life skills classes. Like,
but also just, like, how to be, like, a good friend. Like, how to be a good neighbor.
That's what, to me, is fulfilling. And, like, okay, I'm taking the right steps to be happy and to make other people happy.
Yeah, because they don't teach you that in school, and I feel like that should be taught, like, how to be, like, a good person, honestly. Like, all these, like,
a lot less
life
problems.
skills, not just, like, how to change a tire, how to cook. Like, we need to know how to be good humans as well, because, oh my god, that would have been so helpful.
Yeah, it would. Honestly, I went, like, on a little daydream there, but, like,
yeah,
it would be really helpful. To wrap this up, I think we kind of want to conclude on, like, our final opinions about purpose. So, like, what is important to you in finding purpose? Or, like, how do you think that someone could do that?
For me, honestly, like, your biggest takeaway from this entire episode, do things for you. Don't do them for anyone else. Don't do it for your parents. Don't do it for society. Don't do it for your boyfriend, whoever. Like, do something because you 100% want to do it. And if you're at a job or a school right now where you're like, I don't know, like, don't do it. It's going to be a hard decision and a hard transition, but it'll be worth it in the end. So just always have yourself first.
So you're saying, like, follow what makes you happy kind of thing?
Yeah.
And then what makes you happy will hopefully bring you success. Well, I guess your idea of success.
Yeah, whatever that is for you.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and we both have kind of touched on this before, and we know we have not differing opinions. I think her way is great for people, and my way is I don't think that people should seek a purpose. I've spent so much time personally trying to be like, what is my purpose? What do I need to do? And then I'm like, let me try this, let me try that, la la la. And then I develop so many hobbies, and then I develop so many things that I feel like I need to complete, and then just get overwhelmed and stressed. And that's why, for people like me, I think that you need to, like, cancel that and literally follow your gut. For me, every time I've followed my gut, I've only had, like, a gut feeling maybe 6 times in my life. That's a true, like, something eating away at me. You need to decide this.
You feel it, like, in your whole body. You feel it, yeah.
And I've only had that, like, 6 times in my life, and I'm like, I know this is right. I just need to do it. And those are the hardest decisions, but once you do them, you move further, and then you're like, whoa, that was so rewarding. But yeah, I think kind of, like, don't try to find your purpose. Let your purpose find you, and in a way that's like, you're gonna know when you know. And that's something that I've tried to battle. I'm like, but I need to know now. I've always been like, I don't like to not be in control of things.
Yeah.
I really don't. And so I'm like, I need to know now. But I know that that's just how it works for people, and that someday my purpose is gonna find me, if anything. But while I'm waiting for that to happen, not even waiting until that happens, I'm going to, like, live my life and be like, okay, like you said, like, I do want to do what makes me happy. I'm in the middle, because I do also want to do what makes me financially stable, because I do have a lot of bills to handle, and I do pay for myself.
And that student loan debt.
Exactly. And yeah, I have to provide for myself at this moment. And
there has to be that balance of all of those things.
So I personally say, don't try to find your purpose. It's a waste of time, because you're not gonna yet.
Yeah.
But some people are just so passionate about that one thing that, like, I've seen it in other people.
Yeah.
And they know that. And that's a different kind of person. That's what makes it so difficult about the conversations.
Different.
Yeah. That's why all of our conversations are going to be very broad, but maybe we can help you. You know, maybe we are like you or know somebody like you. And yeah, that's how I am. I say, don't try to find it.
Anyone out there that already knows what their purpose is from the beginning, oh my god, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, please comment. Tell us your story.
Secret?
Email us, whatever it be. Like, all of that, it'll be in the description, or wherever you put the, like, Instagram and emails.
Yeah.
Wherever you put that stuff, it'll be there.
The thing. But yeah, like, those people that are like, I always knew I was destined to be a doctor, and then they just do it, and they're happy, and they're fulfilled, and I'm just like, you fucker. How did how did you
They're
do
so
the
lucky
thing?
to have like that plan, you know? I like having a plan, and I'm like very like inside because I don't. But I've come to learn to enjoy it because I know that it's just not going to happen for me at this point. Like, I've spent so many years stressing over that, and like, it's not going to happen, dude. It's going to happen when it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, think of like, I know like Morgan Freeman or whatever. He didn't become a successful actor until he was 50.
And now everyone knows his angelic voice.
Everybody love him.
Yeah.
You know, he has
For
a very
real.
successful career now, and it took him 50 years, and that's okay.
So, like, I guess I don't know if this makes sense, but like, do you know what you would do to improve on your thoughts about this, or like to take a step forward into like recognizing like your purpose, if that's what you want to do, or like to being happy? Your purpose, you said, is to aim towards being happy. What are you going to do to try to do that?
To being happy, because I feel like those are two different things. But to
but based on what our topic was and what we talked about,
oh shit,
how would you improve towards that?
what am I think I'm gonna follow like the whole ikigai thing that I talked about earlier, just because for me it helps me organize my thoughts. And again, just trying different things that I think that, like, a list of things that I'm, like, kind of good at.
You like to dabble.
Yeah, like, I want to
Yeah,
dabble
I could see
and
that.
see, like, I just want to try everything. Because, again, like, I'm not good at one thing. I'm, like, kind of good at a lot of things. And so I kind of want to see which one of those things stick and which one of those things make me happy.
Honestly, yeah, I can agree with that, too.
Yeah.
I like to dabble too, but it's just a little bit scarier for me, my personality. But I think to improve, my answer's easy based on my answer of what purpose is. I guess I would be like, just wait for life to happen, man. I'm just kidding. But no, I think I do want to do what you said about the ikigai practice, and I think I kind of want to do that for myself just to see what my brain would come up with, and we'll maybe touch on that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think as of right now, I'm happy, so that's great. Like, I'm doing the things that make me happy while I'm still doing the things that I'm able to provide for myself.
Yeah.
So for me, that's my purpose right now as a 20-year-old woman, you know?
Yeah.
Being able to provide for myself while maintaining my happiness. And I'm doing that currently. Finally, I would say it's literally like just a couple months ago that it's happened, but I've accomplished that, and I feel good about that. And wrenches get thrown in your life and speed bumps happen, but I'm more ready for them now. I kind of able to recognize them more rather than being like, why am I pitying myself? You know?
Oh, the world is against me.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that too.
Yeah, we will. But yeah, if you liked what we have to say, I mean, we have a couple social medias. We're on that TikTok gang. I like
We're on the Twitter.
One we promo.
We're on the gram. We're on the YouTube.
And we're on that good old email if you're over 30 or 40. I feel like 30 to 40 is actually pretty young. You're like older millennials. So if you're over 40.
Yeah, and we'll have that all in like somewhere. We'll have it in a description, in a bio. We'll have it. We are
wherever you find it on the platform that you are watching this.
We're on all the platforms everywhere.
So we're going to be uploading audio, obviously, but we're also going to be uploading on YouTube. Catch us on YouTube for anything you might miss in the pod.
Exactly. So if you want to see our lovely faces, check us out on YouTube. If you want to hear our lovely voices only on your drive to work, then check us out on all the other ones. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, if you liked this episode and you want to hear more random, crazy conversations about life, feel free to tune into our next episode, which will be available on Mondays. And yeah, I think that's it.
And thank you, because really without you guys listening, obviously, as every podcaster says, but really, truly, we're thankful for everyone that's going to give us their time. And
all
honestly, if you don't, that's totally cool too, because this feels so fun to just do for myself. But this podcast has been brought to you by you from my closet.
Live from the closet.
Live from the closet. So really, though, we appreciate all of our 9 friends listening to this.
Until next time.
Peace out, bros.